Hello.
Hi, guys. Hi, everyone.
Yes. And hello, our OUC online fam. We're back with you again live with our whole family. I don't know if you guys have met our whole family, but we are just excited today with our Committed and Covered series. And this is, we'll start with the oldest and work our way down. All the way over to my right is Malcolm the Fourth. That's our oldest son, Malcolm the Fourth. And then next to Malcolm the Fourth is our daughter, Sydney Taylor. Yes, she's our, I guess you could say our middle child. And then our
Only
youngest.
girl.
Yeah, only girl. And then our youngest is Miles Taylor.
Hey, everybody.
He's a part of the production team. And then next to me is my girlfriend.
Nicole Taylor.
Yeah. And we are just excited to bring the whole family crew. Normally for optics, we don't make it this big, but because our oldest son just showed up out of the blue, and this was a segment that we were having today, we were like, come on in, man. We got to have you, you know,
that's
so
right.
that
We made it work.
Yeah, that's right. So that our online family can see us all. And we've got an action-packed show for you today, and we're just excited about it. And, you know, my girlfriend, she's going to open it up for you.
Well, our topic for this evening is called Grownish. I don't know if any of you have seen the show Grownish, you know, about one of the young ladies from the TV show Blackish that ends up going off to college and, you know, becoming a young adult, and how she works through different difficulties in college life. And so we thought it would be fitting to have a show titled Grownish, talking about parenting young adults.
Yeah.
And if you are a parent, you know that sometimes that can be difficult.
Ooh.
There's some joys,
Tough.
there's some challenges, there can be some pains with it. And also from the perspective, though, of the young adults.
Yeah.
So this
Tough for them,
evening, we're
too.
going to have a open dialogue and talking about that parental, that parenting relationship with parents and young adults.
Yeah.
And just this open dialogue talking about, so we can, as parents and as young adults, better understand each other
All right.
in this relationship.
And I'll jump in real quick. So for you guys who are on with us, we've got about over 60 devices with us. But if you guys are maybe a young adult and
Yes.
you're on with us, or you're parenting young adults, just throw it in the chat so we can all see what you got going on. And
Right.
give a shout out to our producer today, Doc Wood. We thank you
Yes.
for what he's doing for us today. And just throw it in the chat, guys, that
Yes.
if you are a parent of a young adult, or if you're a young adult yourself being parented.
And then post your questions. If you have questions,
Yes,
post the
comments.
questions and comments. That helps also with the discussion on our topic this evening.
Yeah.
So we will get started. And
Ooh,
again, this
drum
is
roll.
going to be an open discussion. So what
Yes.
we've all come up with is questions from parents' perspective, our
Yeah.
perspective, and then the young adults and a full adult has come up with questions as well. So we will start out with a question. And
Yeah.
so our first question that we would like to pose to the young adults.
Is this our question to them?
Yes.
Okay, I'm excited.
The question is, we always talk about how important communication is with each other as a family, because we know that it does strengthen the bonds, the family bonds. So do you feel that as a family, we have open communication and respect?
Not all at once,
Anybody?
guys.
Not all
yeah,
at
yeah.
once. Come on.
And when you
So
guys
do
talk, you got to put your
Yes,
face in the mic
get in
so
the
they can
mic.
hear you. You can't talk. You got to lean into it.
You go first.
So again, the question is,
Yeah,
do
we gotta
you feel
warm
that
them
as a
up.
family we have open communication and that it's respectful?
Yeah.
I'd say yes, we do, and I mean that's really all I can say is yes.
All right. Well, why don't you guys tell them your age, like, so they can get a gauge on how old you are.
I'm 19.
All right, 19.
I'm basically 21.
In
Okay.
November.
In November. Okay.
I'm 31.
You, dude, you're 31.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. We have a
About to be
30.
32.
Yeah.
32,
You knew
Matt.
that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Anyways, I'll say like the communication and everything, I think it's pretty good. I mean, I feel like I tell my parents just about everything. So
Yeah.
just about. So
Yeah.
You know, I will admit, out of all of our clan, you know, you guys see our whole family up here, guys, and our daughter, she's an open book when it comes to like telling us
Yes.
stuff. It's funny. She, even now, she'll come in and she's like, you guys know I can't hold it. I've got to tell you. I've just got to say it. So yeah, she's an open book. Now, our silent mouse is the guy next to my wife. You know,
Yes.
he's a
Yes.
silent. And then our oldest, he tends to let us in the door when he
He's
wants to
ready.
let us in the door.
Yeah, when he's ready.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
from your perspective, Malcolm, I'm gonna call you Quattro because that's what we also
Quattro
call him.
Mac.
Quattro Mac.
Yeah.
We call him Quattro Mac. Can you think back and even now, like with our communication with you, because you are the oldest?
Yeah.
Do you feel that we've had open communication with you, and that the respect of hearing what you all have to say is there?
Yeah. I'm kind of reserved, but I feel like I can tell y'all just about anything.
That's cool.
That's cool.
And you know, it's on the job training.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then we see some parents are saying that they are parents, single mom of 3
Regina,
young adults.
Reggie Hill said yes.
Makita.
Yes.
And Lynetta says that she's a parent of a young adult.
Okay.
And she says that the hormonal changes
Ooh.
often present themselves in a disrespectful manner. That is the hardest. And
Yeah.
yes, we're going to hit on some of that too.
Yes.
And Marie said that she is a grandmother of young adults.
Okay,
Okay. Makita
okay.
has a 26-year-old,
Okay.
a 20, and an 18.
Yes,
Okay.
you're right there in the throes with
Yes,
us, you know,
yes.
because we're in that ever learning phase on how to deal with our young adult children. And even with if you're a young adult and you are a child, you can jump in too, and guys, share where you are in that mix.
But we know that communication is important.
Yes.
And what we've always tried to teach our kids is that we're here as long as you're respectful in discussing what's on your mind and how you feel. We have our doors always open for open communication, because that is the key to me with our family in discussing and talking about hopefully all things, to keep those lines of communication open.
All right, Gabrielle, she said young adult here. Young
Okay,
adult.
Gabrielle.
So if you don't mind, Gabrielle, hopefully I'm saying your name right. Put your age in the chat as well, so we'll know where you are in that young adult order of things.
Hey, best friend.
You got a new bestie over here, Gab. Yes.
And Melissa Card is a parent of a 22-year-old and an 18-year-old. Okay, so welcome to the chat. Okay, so guys, what's your question?
Okay.
Speak up.
So what I want to know is, how do y'all manage the balance of giving freedom and setting boundaries at the same time?
Ooh.
You want to take that one first?
I will. So the question was, because she's talking in such a small, soft voice. So Gabby said she's 21. She said, how do we manage or balance the freedom aspect with a young adult, as well as holding boundaries, right? So what I tell my kids is, when you guys become adults, and I've said it to them before, I come to them and I say, do we want the adult conversation, or are we doing the kid conversation right here? Because once you graduate over into the adult phase, then we have to have these adult rules. Right. And it's not so much that you're under my thumb or your mother's thumb and you're going to get a spanking, because those spanking days are over. It was funny. I used to have to tell Quattro, our oldest son, hey, dude, you won't get a whooping anymore.
Right.
So then what we had to do was, instead of using the same criteria when they were younger, we had to set boundaries.
Yes.
Right. And so those boundaries are now adult boundaries. So in my house, or our house, my wife and I, if you cross our boundaries, that means you're asking to leave the house, right?
Yeah.
You're saying, hey, I really don't want to be here as a day-to-day roommate. I think it's time for me to move out, right?
Right.
We haven't come to that point with our kids, but I just, it's best to give the information up front, right?
And when we talk about boundaries too, what we've tried to do with our children are discuss these boundaries.
Yeah.
Some things that, these are boundaries, the do's and the don'ts. And then we try to discuss with them, like, how do you feel about it? Of course, there's boundaries that they just have to follow, because those are the rules in our home. And then, of course, we've talked about some consequences. And of course, young adults will try us, we will say they've tried it some, but then that's where the consequences have to come in. And then from my experience, once you set those boundaries, you need to be consistent with the consequences. Now, can those boundaries, you come back to the table and talk about those boundaries. An example would be maybe curfew, Go ahead.
I need to talk about that one.
Okay, talk about that. But sometimes, just having that conversation and say, Mom and Dad, can our time frame be changed? Our curfew be changed? And so we talk about those things, but boundaries are there for a reason.
Yeah, and I want to jump in. My kids it's going to take them a while to warm up, right? And by the time the show is almost at an end, they're going to be warmed up. And thank you for that, Sheila. Thank you for telling us we're a beautiful family. But anyway, guys, I try to get my kids to understand, it's not curfew. These are boundaries that we set. I don't want somebody coming to my house at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, right? The door is closed.
That's right.
Right? I can't go to the grocery store when it closes. If it closes at 9 or 10, I can't go at midnight expecting to get in. They have set a boundary at their door. And of course, it can be kind of tough because you want your kids to be at home, but it's not so much a curfew. I try to get them to see and understand. It's not a curfew. It's just a boundary that we've set between ourselves. Right. Is that good enough?
But how do you guys feel about the rules that we have for you all?
Yeah.
Well, of course, Malcolm, even though he is turning 32, he knows that certain rules still apply to him, but for the most part,
it's not necessarily rules. He understands
it's just the
because he has his set of his place where it's private for him, and he's now understanding. You know what? I understand when I don't want somebody doing
Right.
stuff in my space,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah, can't
Yeah.
come in at 5 or 4. It's a respect thing. So.
Yeah. So he understands that better. But go ahead. I think Sydney.
What was your question?
The question is, how do you guys feel about the rules that we have as of now with you guys?
I mean, like the rules there. Well, where I live, they're not that bad. I do feel like my curfew could be a little bit later. 1:30 is a little early for a senior in college. But then I have to remember, I live with my parents, so I have to understand like this is how they feel, this is what they want. But besides the curfew thing, I really do feel like all the rules aren't that bad. We don't really have any besides curfew.
All right. So we're a ruleless family. We have no rules, huh?
I mean, church too. Church is not forced upon us, but of course, like
We
I love
encourage
God. I want to go to church, but they do intensely encourage it. So
Intensely
yeah.
encourage it. That's a good way of putting it.
But besides church and the curfew, I think we got it pretty good.
It's relaxed.
Go
Yeah.
ahead,
What you
relax.
Well, me personally, I don't have a problem. I kind of do with the curfew also. But I mean,
Here, come to Jesus
I'm
moment.
younger, so I mean, I can see that. But
Right.
I used to think that they were kind of strict. But now that I got older and I look back, they weren't that strict.
Okay. All right. We
Okay.
appreciate that,
Yeah,
Miles.
I want to know
Miles.
what Malcolm thinks about how, like, when he was our age, what he thought about it.
Okay. Little sister asking big
She
brother.
asked her big brother. Okay.
I respected it.
Yeah.
I understood it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
From
and
18 to now, I understood it. So,
appreciate that, Malcolm.
Yeah.
yeah.
And Vonnie has said some pretty good stuff. She said we look too young to have a 32-year-old.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Vonnie. And you are right. The
Oh,
old
yeah.
saying is true.
Nothing's open after 1 a.m.
But legs. And that is what a lady told us. When I was a
That's
teenager,
right, Bonnie.
she kicked us out of her her house because we were there to visit it's like when you're in church and you have those socials. She said, oh, it's 10 o'clock. Nothing's open past 12 but legs. That's what she said. Y'all got to get out. And
Right.
she set that boundary for us.
Okay, so my next question is, how do you all feel as a family, how we handle conflict or disagreement with you all about something? Because parents want to know, like, when you're dealing with your young adults, what are your expectations of us, when there's a conflict of something that you want to do and we disagree with it as in your young adult age?
Which question do you want us to answer? The first one or because you asked two?
Well, both
Either one
of
you
them.
feel most
Either
comfortable
one.
with.
Talking to Mike.
Okay, I'll answer the second one. What are our expectations? I expect us to, since I'm considered a young adult now, I expect us to find some sort of middle ground, if you could say, and we kind of agree on a solution.
Okay.
That's not too bad for either one of us.
Do we do that?
Do
we do that?
No, I'm just.
Okay.
I answered the first question. That was, how do we deal with the conflict? Honestly, it usually gets solved, but I will say that we rarely have like just a terrible conflict to where it can't get solved.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do feel
Pout.
as there might not be a middle ground. There won't be a meeting. It's, I'm mommy, I'm daddy, I said what I said. And then it's kind of like, well, I understand that, but I'm also not that kid anymore to where it could be that you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, we could force
yes.
our opinion on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But me and Miles are respectful, Malcolm too, so we wouldn't just, blatantly be like, well, I'm going
Thank you.
to do what I want to do anyway. Now, maybe depending on the situation, like maybe come past curfew, I might push it.
Maybe.
But,
you
like-
do push it.
Yes.
You do push it.
No, Miles pushes it,
No.
but they only notice it when I do it.
Because you're a girl.
Okay.
Don't tell nobody.
I know.
Okay, go ahead.
But the question we have for y'all is, what is wrong with asking why? Like, say, you say no, we can't go anywhere, right? And we ask, why can't we go? And you say, oh, I'm mom, I'm dad.
Oh, is it like because I
why
said so?
won't you? Yeah. Why?
Well, I guess I've been doing it wrong because I could have sworn that we give explanations because I know growing up with my mom, she used to say, because I said so, that generation of baby boomers. And I used to always like, that's not an answer. So I thought in my parenting, our parenting, that we would explain. Now, there have been some times where we was like, I will say we've said, there's no explanation to it. It is what it is. But for the most part, I thought that we as parents expressed why in certain situations to why we say no.
And I'll chime in too. For me, I just kind of feel like the why is in the answer, right? So, I want to come in later. And the simple answer is no. The why, the answer, you got the why, because you guys understand that, you guys are now adult roommates. Although you are children, you're adult roommates. And the rules that are set in our house kind of stand,
That's
and
right.
It makes it tough when a person says, well, why? When you guys get your own apartment, you don't want your guests to come in and walk on the couch with their shoes on. And when you say, get off of my couch with your shoes on, and then they look at you and say, why? The answer is already there. I don't want you on the couch, my couch that I bought, with your shoes on that you just walked from outside on, and may be raining and muddy outside. So I guess for us, we kind of feel like it's already.
You make a valid point.
Well, thank you,
Yes,
dear.
good. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
we're
yes,
hashing this
yes.
thing out. And Denise,
That's right.
Denise said,
Mommy twin is sitting right next to her. Daddy's twin is way to the end. And now the young queen is a mixture of both mom and dad. Or does daddy have two twins? He has two twins.
Two
is what we've
twins,
always
two
heard. Two
twins.
twins.
yeah, those genes are strong.
Right.
Those Taylor genes are strong. So hopefully, we shed some light on that, Sydney. Guys, and we'll be honest with you. We were setting up this show, and my daughter especially was like, let's not rehearse the answer to the question, because we want the answer to just be a natural answer.
Right.
Because we actually want to know. So although they might be going, at a slower rate with their presentation with the questions and answers, this is actually organic, guys. They're actually asking some questions that they already have, and we're giving the answers in real time. We haven't gone over this at all. Just to give you guys a tidbit of where we are.
And so I know if you parents out there,
Yes.
especially with young adults, we would like to know, why is it so hard to just keep us informed?
Yes.
Keep us informed of what you're doing, where you're going, and just touch base with us. Hey, I made it here, or hey, everything's going well. Just want to let you know. Why is that so hard to do? Somebody,
Well, and we're really posing this.
Yeah,
we're really
we're-
posing
we're-
this
okay.
to the two middle ones, because Malcolm, he's living in Nashville.
Yeah,
Well-
he's an adult,
The adult.
but we
adult.
still like him to let us know when he makes it back home.
Yes.
I guess, and he's so old, he probably didn't have phones yet. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But I mean, it's more of like a in the moment thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on the go, I'm moving. If I'm not at home, I'm usually with
On the
my
go.
friends, and I'm hanging out. I'm not thinking, oh, let me tell my mom this, and this, but when I do remember, I will say that. But this is the thing, guys. They have our locations.
Life 360, baby.
They can look. They can look at
But I don't
any time
always
and
look at it.
see where I am. But they will call me and text me and ask me, where are you at?
Can't trust technology.
And it's like, if you just look right here on this little thing, zoom in, and it'll tell you, I'm at so and so's house. I've been here since so and so time. And I mean, like, then they're like, oh well, I don't even look at that thing. But I feel like you do.
Okay, but let me just say this. Joan says that is a big problem for her with her 23-year-old son, and it is very frustrating. Yes, it is.
Very.
And Vonnie said trust but verify.
Yes.
But the thing is, guys, even with Life 360, see, these young adults think that we just don't know technology. I
That's
don't know
right.
why. They can go in and they can change. They do something
can.
with Life 360, and it'll keep spinning, or it'll say that they've been at this place all day, all night,
Not
and
change.
you're like, and not change. And we know that that's not correct.
Yeah.
So why do we don't really look at it? We look at it sometimes, but we don't, because we know that they can go in and play around with it. And we know that.
And it is frustrating, like Joan said. Oh, and
Yes.
hey, Veronica and Janae. But yes, it is frustrating. And, you know, my dad said something to me when I became an adult. And let me put it this way, a cognizant adult, right? Because you can have adult children, but they're not cognizant, meaning like whatever you tell them is going in one ear and coming out the other.
Right.
But, you know, I asked my dad, hey, man, how did you deal with us growing into our adulthood? He said, man, I just had to give you guys back to God. You know,
Yes.
God gave you to us. I had to give you guys back to, because if I did not, I would not get sleep.
Right.
I would have
yes.
worked my way into a sickness. You know, this thing with our adult children is tough. You know, we thought it was tough with adolescents and infants and stuff.
Yes.
You know, like, you know, kids when they got sick, each one of these kids got sick on us. And it was tough then. But then when you get to the adulthood phase, you know, because they can do things and just go somewhere and you won't hear from them for days.
And then another thing is when they're younger,
Yes.
you know, you have more control.
More control.
But when they go off to college or they move out
Yes.
on their own, you really don't. And so that is truly where you say you have to trust the process of what you've done as a parent and give them definitely back to God and pray. Because I know when our daughter first went off to college, you know, again, she's the only girl.
Yes.
Now he would watch Life 360 all day long. We would be couldn't go to sleep, and I said, "Baby, just put it down. Just put it down." And he was like, "How can you sleep?" I said, "I'm just turning it over to God, you know." But then for me, I will look at it, you know, and I will text and say, "Hey, what's going on? Let me know. Let me hear from you."
Yes.
And so really we've learned that giving them back to God at this age is all that we can do right now, and pray that the communication that we have with our children, that, you know, that relationship, you know, they will remember that and remember what we've taught them as well. And Reggie says that our kids are hesitant to let us know where they are, but have us on speed dial when that's true, when they need us, and ask us where we are and why didn't we let them know we were not home. Now
Isn't that something?
that's this one.
Yes.
That's
I
this
called
one.
you 3 times.
No, she'll text and say, "What are you doing there? What are you doing at the grocery store?" So things like that. But true, that is so true. So I wanted to pose that question because that is frustrating for parents.
Yes.
That when we want to know and hear from you guys. Okay.
And back to the original question.
All right, Miles.
It was what was it? Why don't we check in or like?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that it's kind of like for the young people. Say you're on spring break, right? You're on spring break for a reason, to get a break from school, and you don't want to hear nothing or talk about anything related to school while you're on spring break. So my reasoning is, while I'm home, that's kind of, I'm not saying I need a break from them, but I've seen them all day. So I just want to chill with my friends.
Okay. I
And then,
can
so
receive
I'm
that.
kind of focused on that
And
at the
when
moment.
we leave the house, we tell them usually what we're doing and where we're going. So it's kind of like then to call and be like, "Where you at? What you doing?" Before I left, I told you, "Oh, hey, I'm going with this girl, that girl, going on a date." You know, like, so it's kind of like, but my mom here doesn't remember anything. So you can tell her 10 times. And she's going to be like, what are you doing today? Where'd you say? You said you had to work? And it's like, yes, I did.
That's getting older.
Yes.
Somebody help me in the chat. Parents is getting older, and they don't know anything about perimenopause yet. So
Working through it.
See, DeAndre gets it. True story. They want to know our every move.
yes, DeAndrea, we do.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, Deandra, probably, can you share with us how old you are, Deandra, since you're one of the young adults? And then Maggie said that's how we are. So I guess she's one of the young adults too. So if you're one of the
Yes.
young adults, you don't
Tell us
have to
how
put
you-
your age, but it kind of helps us in kind of knowing who you are. But we got to look at it from both sides. Okay, so we're hearing from young adults. Miles just
Right.
expressed, Sydney just expressed. Malcolm was a little quiet on it. It's okay. And then we've expressed our end. So I think, she's 19. Okay, all right. Okay. So with that,
Your plans change midstream of the
always,
plans.
always.
And that's
Yeah.
why, because you know what I always tell my kids, like if Miles don't, you remember I called you yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you mind if I share the story?
I kind of forgot.
About
You called
you
me
left.
yesterday?
I called him
Oh, okay,
yesterday.
yeah, you
I
can-
was
you can-
down.
Keisha Queens has.
I was downstairs and I cooked dinner, so I called him upstairs and I said, "Hey, dinner is ready, or do you want me to make you a plate?" He says, "Oh, I'm out with my friend," and I said, "What?"
Wasn't even at the house.
Wasn't even at home. I had just gone downstairs, cooked, so I was perturbed, and so I said to him, "This is what I'm talking about. You should let us know when you are leaving this house, and that is my expectation of you, because I always tell my kids that something could happen, and then we get a phone call." I'm like, "No, my child is here. I just came downstairs," but then I get a phone call that something has happened. You feel like you don't know where your child is, so it's a respect. That's a respect thing to me. And I told him it's respectful to let us know your plans if you're leaving this house, so that we can just know.
Yes.
And then,
Keisha.
is it Keisha?
Yeah. Keisha Queen.
How do you handle when your children live contrary to your beliefs?
That's a really good
That's
question.
a good question. And go ahead, babe.
All right. Well, guys, in full transparency, our kids who have now become adults, we've got to allow them their space to make those decisions that we don't consider wise
Or the
when it comes to our
best.
beliefs, right? If you look at my children, they wear jewelry. If you look at my children, they have tattoos. If you look at my children, they are adults who still come to church. So I said two things that are contrary to our Adventist belief, but then one thing as a parent you're still happy for, right?
Right.
So, and that one thing is my children still come to church. Now, about their belief in God, that's a individual decision that they're going to have to make. But it's our prayer that they have an established relationship with God. But that comes in time, because I look back on my life, when I was their age and younger, there were a lot of things I did contrary to the beliefs, right? My dad is a now retired Adventist minister. And there was quite a few things that I was doing that, if someone were to look at my life, they would be like, that kid is on his way to hell, right? But now I am entrenched in church. I love Jesus. I love me some Jesus, y'all. And I can't see myself doing anything different. So that's where those texts that come into play. Train up a child in the way that they should go.
Yes.
And when they are old, they will not depart from it. Meaning it won't leave them.
And we've always told our kids and talked to them about, we've introduced you to Christ.
Yes.
Our kids were raised in the church, activities, being a part of ministries. But we always have told them, you have to have your own individual relationship with Christ. You need to know him for yourself. And that's our prayer to them. So hopefully we've answered your question. And then we have
Yes,
another
Miss Queen.
question from C.N. Brown. How do you all navigate discussions about money and financial responsibility?
That's tough.
That's a good question, C.N.
That's one of
Brown.
those ones I even asked myself, did I do the best job
Did we?
in money management for our children? They tend to, look at money in a different way. But that's really, really tough when it comes to those finances.
Yeah, and we do reflect on what did we do wrong, or what could we have done
Or
better,
right.
or what we do right, because our kids, we have told them that maybe we just gave them too many privileges as far as with finances, because we just recently had them to start paying for gas, car insurance. And so, they were like, really? We was like, yes. We really saw that, we had to start giving them responsibilities to understand about finances. And what we were trying to do was allow them in college to just go to college, focus on their studies,
Yeah.
be a college student. But at the same time, they just thought money grew on trees.
All right.
You
all
know.
right. So
yeah.
let's throw in some of the comments that you guys have been saying. So
I saw
Well,
a
Denise,
comment,
what was the comment?
the one up from Lisa.
Oh,
When she said that
I remember.
when she went to school,
Yeah, Lisa.
her parents were more strict than the dorm.
Then the
Yes,
dorm.
Lisa
Yeah,
And
that's
let
a-
me
says-
tell you, I'm at school locally, and my freshman year when I stayed in the dorm, I would get calls asking why I'm still out and where you about to go now. It's 12 in the morning. My dad would be like, you need to go home. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't live with y'all right now, so why do I have to go home?
Yeah.
And I'm like, am I still living at home or did I move out? I was confused,
You
No.
moved,
But I
you
feel
moved to
like-
campus.
Yeah, I feel like after first semester they got a little bit better with that too, but in the beginning they were still trying to keep me under house rules. So
Mhm. And I love it. Vonnie said her son is shit. They're making him pay rent. And I do want to read what another
Oh,
person
Lordy.
said.
Okay.
She said, I'm happy my two children are watching this with me. This is Denise Thomas with me. It helps confirm other parents have the same concerns
Yes,
that I
we
do.
do. Yes, we
She
do.
has a daughter that's 21. Wow. Just like, our two in the middle, and a son that's 19.
And then too, it's as parents, we don't have a book. This is
On the job
on
training.
the job training,
Yeah.
and so it's a transition for us as parents with our children when they go off to college or
Yes.
the new phases of life that they're going into. So
Yeah.
sometimes we don't always make the best decisions or handle things the best way, but we also learn and grow through the process.
Yeah.
And so, of course, with girls, we have a tighter grip with Sydney. And it's not that we don't trust her, but as parents, we sometimes feel that our kids can be naive to the things in this world, things that are happening, things that are going on. And for some reason, they just don't feel that we've been there and that we know it and that we understand it. And I oftentimes tell my kids, God gave us as your parents, not
Yeah.
you as our parents. And so we have wisdom, and nothing's new under the sun. They just call it something different. That's what I always say to them.
All right. Well, we'll still share what's being said. Joan said this. She says,
my daughter was raised in the church at Venture and AY Leader. She is now so far from the church. Thank God she allows her children to attend church, praying that she will one day return.
yeah.
And yes.
And that's power in prayer. And then
That's
Nicole said this.
My kids are still small, but at what age did you start to notice the teen/young adult behavior change, privacy, independence, etc.? And how do you stay connected as a family, even though they are young adults? Now, that's a good question, Nicole,
Yeah.
because you do start seeing the change.
Middle school.
Yeah, middle school with their friends at school, and wanting to stay in their room all the time, wanting to be on the cell phones, the different technology. And what we would do with our kids, because Sydney, of course, Malcolm, he had technology, and he was more so. I would say Malcolm really didn't have a lot of friends in school.
Well, he had a lot of friends, but he didn't do the social piece.
Yeah, he didn't
like,
do the
I want to
social
go here.
piece.
I want to go there.
Right. He really wanted
He was
to
a
hang
homebody.
with his cousins, because all of his cousins were raised together.
That's true.
So we mainly, with him, the change we saw was more so with grades was what we focused on with him. So we would take his technology.
And lifestyle choices.
But as far as Sydney, with her, we would, if she got on punishment, we would take her cell phone and we would make her come out. We would make our kids, the younger two, come out. Let's watch TV together. Let's spend quality time together. And do you know what she would say? What did you used to say, Sydney, when we would take your cell phone technology?
I maybe said this once or twice. They swear I say it all the time, but
Yeah.
I used to say thank you because I really did need that.
Yeah, she would say thank you.
Because
And
it's addictive.
It is
It had a
addictive.
hold of her.
Right. So during that transition, we tried to be as understanding as
Yes.
possible, knowing, my background is education, child development as well, and just trying to be able to understand those changes. And Malcolm has a psychology degree, so he would balance me.
Yeah, I'm the therapist.
Yeah,
in the
he would
house.
balance me. He's more of a talker. I'm more of a punisher.
Yes.
But we would definitely just make our kids put down technology. And when we would have dinner, they couldn't have their cell phones at the table. I believe in us spending that family quality time together without technology or the TV.
Yeah.
And so that transition, you know your kids. Each child is different. Each child is different.
Each child is different. And the last part of that question is, how do we stay connected? You know, and that's really tough because we do live our separate lives, but we do check-ins. My wife and I, we make an attempt to do check-ins with our youngest, Miles, our middle, Sydney, and our oldest, Malcolm. We try to do check-ins with them to see how they're doing. I mean, we can tell when they want to talk and when they don't want to talk. They don't answer the phone.
Right.
Especially my oldest, Malcolm. When I call him and he doesn't answer, I'm like, he don't want to talk. But when he does answer, I'm like, okay, yeah, he wants to talk today. So we talk, or I'll shoot him a text to just let him know I'm thinking about him. And when we are together, we try to at least eat one meal together.
Right.
We really do try to do that. If not, watch a movie. And Chris, thanks for the
and
t-shirt
then
shout
also,
out.
but that brings up one of the questions that I did have, like for our young adults, like how do you manage stress and maintaining your mental health? Because this
For
is
our
a
young
piece
adults.
for our young adults that, you know, we've been seeing a lot of suicide, just from different issues, stress, anxiety. And so for us, it has always been important for us to check in with our kids and say, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How are you feeling? And they was like, oh, well, no, mentally, mental wise, what's going on in your head? And so we've always tried to check in with them.
Yeah, even go as far to ask them, about harming themselves. You know, do you feel how deep is this depression or anxiety? And we try to open up that window for them. So, guys.
You got it.
For me, it's staying active.
Okay, Malcolm.
I bike a lot. I like to go to parks and hike.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. You are an outdoorsy kind of person.
Eat fruit, yeah. Yeah, just...
Because for you, like, you might want to get closer to the mic, but for you, you're experiencing life at another level. You have a daughter yourself. We didn't share with the crowd.
We have a granddaughter, 7-year-old.
He has a daughter himself, and he's experiencing life in the adult phase where, it's not so much Disney World in the park. He doesn't care about a curfew.
Lip gloss. Can you buy me this dress?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're experiencing parenting from a kid level. Yeah.
And what about you, Pooh?
What was the question again?
How do you manage
stress?
stress?
And do you communicate that with us? Is that hard? And can you share with people your age and even parents on how to navigate between the parent-child relationship?
I really don't know. Honestly, I'm never that stressed unless I'm in school, honestly. But besides that, I mean, praying, listening to music. Music is really therapeutic for me. If I'm going through anything, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on some music. And what else was said?
Yeah, how you deal with it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like I stress too much. And I mean, there has been times where I felt like I'm going through depression, but I mean, honestly, I have to force myself to acknowledge it. And then if I do, I'll spend more time with friends, spend more time with family. Like, I have to get myself out of that funk. I can't just sit, in my room all day and be sad about whatever I'm feeling sad about. But I feel like, hanging with my brother. Because Malcolm, since he doesn't live here, we don't hang that much. If he was here, we would. But since I only got Miles living here with me, that's usually my go-to. If I am feeling anything, I'm just like, let me go hang with my brother.
Okay.
Do you?
Well, she just said something that speaks to mental health. You don't want to isolate, because somebody just asked, like, how do we help our young adults? They're fragile. Why is that? Why is that? It's hard to answer the question, why is it? Because each one is unique. But what our recommendation is, don't isolate, because when we isolate, we tend to stay in the issue, stay in the problem. And then that molehill becomes a mountain. And that mountain becomes something that we just can't get across. And then it blocks our view for help. And then we feel helpless. And then, the devil works his his way into our mind and heart and tries to get us to end it.
Right.
And life is too precious and important, and we're all too important to God to end our lives through suicide or to hurt ourselves.
Right. And you have a comment too?
Miles.
How I relieve my stress is, she kind of took my answer, but music is the main one, really.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I try to stay away from stressful situations in general. But when I am stressful, it's really music and I guess my friends too. I like to.
Yeah, and then sometimes with your kids, I know we can ask them sometimes, are you okay? Is anything on your mind? And they'll say, well, Sydney, I can say her. She'll say, oh, I really don't want to talk about it right now.
Yes.
So I give her that space for a little bit. But then what I have told her is that if that's what the devil wants you to do, is stay in your room. He wants you to isolate yourself. And I said, so if you're ever feeling that way and you don't want to talk about it, just come in the room with us, just sit down with us or crawl into bed with us, watch TV with us, and you don't have to say anything. And so that's what we try to encourage, just not to isolate herself, to stay around family and prayer. We always talk about prayer too.
Yeah.
I also want to add something.
Go ahead.
To the comment that said, why are we so mentally fragile? I also do feel like it's harder. I know, I don't know how old you are, but like my parents, they're not that old, but they're pretty there. But so I feel like they had different struggles, but every generation is different. And for ours, it's getting worse in worse. So for me, it's more like I'm stressing about what am I going to do in life? What money am I going to make? Like me, I like to work. I want money. I need money. And I might neglect school sometimes because I'm like, well, this check was good. I need to get this one again. So for me, I stress a lot money-wise. I don't want to be broke. And I always want to have something in my pocket. School is also a really big stressor because I don't like school, but I also want a career to where I won't just have, oh, I graduated high school, that's it. So for me, that also plays a part in us being so fragile because the more the generations go down, we stress more about what we need.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Do y'all have a question?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, Kathleen said her kids didn't have a curfew.
Oh, she didn't.
That's brave.
I did grow up with someone. Kathleen says when my children were growing up with me as a single parent, I didn't give them any curfew. If you have something specific, reasonable to do outside, I'll allow them to be out.
Okay.
And I went to school with a young lady who her parents didn't give her curfew, and she was respectful and
She
came in. But
survived.
some people can, and some people can't.
Yes.
And Debbie Goins says that now this is what I call reality TV.
Yes.
Yes, live in unscript and respectfully
Yeah, live
real.
and
Yeah,
unscript.
yes,
Yes, that's right.
okay. And Kristen says, yes, let's not minimize this generation's battles. Yes,
Yeah.
we can because it's serious, you know. Their struggles are different from ours, you know. Question?
Do y'all as parents believe in being friends with your child?
Oh, do
Or
we?
having some type of friend relationship with your child?
So if you guys, yes, go ahead,
you
baby.
want me? All right. I love that question. I teach on the collegiate level, and there's a class that I teach. Well, several, but marriage and the family. And I when I teach it on the undergraduate level with freshmen and sophomores, I tell them that your job as a young adult now is to become your parents' friend, right? And I put the weight on them, and I'll tell you guys why, my listening audience, is because a parent doesn't necessarily, I don't want to say it like we just don't know, but a parent doesn't have the ability and I hope I put this right where you guys can understand what I'm saying. The parent's job is not to become the child's friend. It's now the adult child's job to open up the door to allow a friendship between the parent. Right? You guys got what I'm saying? So because my adult children are here, they look at us, they will forever look at us as their parent. I forever look at my parents as my parent. I call them mom and dad. I don't call them by their first name. But I then have to become friends with them right, as an adult. And the friendship still has to be navigated properly,
Right.
With respect. But the weight is on the child to say, you know what, I'm now willing to be your friend, right? And how does that look between us? It's unique to each parent-child
Right.
relationship. It's very unique to each parent-child relationship. But the weight is more so on the kids. So I'm telling my kids this, and I'm telling the listening audience, like, it's now time for my kids to make the attempt to become our friends.
Right.
All right?
Right.
Okay.
Because especially like our oldest, Malcolm Quattro, he will be turning 32
In November.
in November. And, of course he's an adult, so no spankings, no whipping, no anything like
Yeah.
that. But we try to open the door for him to feel like, okay, he can trust us to talk to us, to formulate that friendship and to receive the wisdom that we have and whatever choice he decides to make. That's him. He's an adult, but with our young adults right now, for them, that is a transition for us too, because they still live with us.
Yes.
And we still have those rules and some boundaries set. And so when those rules or boundaries are set, as a parent, I still have to confront them about that, and maybe a discipline, but a different type of discipline, more so now, maybe take the car, things like that.
Yeah.
But it's hard to try to meet. My daughter knows that I'm here. We talk, we have fun, we laugh, my sons too. But at the same time right now, there's still parenting aspects because they live with us. And so that can be a fine line.
And again, guys, my young adults, it's not that we're saying this like this is what you have to do for us to be friends, but you have the power to allow the friendship, right? Especially if you have a healthy relationship between your parent, right? Or parents. We're speaking about healthy relationships or a willingness to maintain or start or maintain a healthy relationship. The weight is really on you guys as young adults to say, hey,
Right.
Let's be friends. I think Joan said something to Sydney's comment about trying to make some money, her daughter.
Or I think someone else made
Joan,
a
Joan said, I understand, young lady. My daughter was like that while in college. She wanted her own money and did not like being broke. Yeah, that's true. Thank God she has a good career she loves. And she loves to shop. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I want to say, I wanted to get my own money because, like, after I turned around 16, it was no longer like, I'm like, hey, can I get this? Can I get that? They're like, we not paying for that. We not paying for this. So I'm like, you know what? Let me get a job and get it on my own.
Yeah.
And so I will say I tried to keep enough money to where I won't have to be like, Mom and Dad, can y'all help me with this? Can y'all support this shopping cart that I want to get? Because I always want to make it easier on them as well too.
You're so
like
sweet.
I don't want to just be asking for money all the time.
Yeah.
So that's also why I got to keep the money, and I do love to shop.
Thank you for that, Sid. And let's be encouraged. I'm glad your
Yes,
37-year-old wants to
That's
be
right.
friends with you. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And Pastor Kurt says older generations definitely had different stresses and struggles.
Yes.
But we didn't have language for it. And
Yeah.
that's right. And it wasn't as acceptable to acknowledge them. And you are so correct. Because I often tell my kids today the things that, I grew up with, the dysfunction and the struggles, I could have been suicidal, to be honest.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but we can't minimize their experiences now.
No, we
because the
cannot.
generations are different.
Yes. No, we cannot. No, we
Yes.
cannot.
So,
Yes.
guys, as we get ready to prepare and close out, we want to talk about some tips, right? So do y'all have a tip or anything for parents that we need to know?
Yeah, some helpful hints.
Yes, we do.
He leaned forward, y'all.
I know
That's
he
it.
did.
The first one is to listen without judgment.
Okay,
'Cause
listen.
sometimes we just need y'all to listen
Okay.
and we don't need a response just yet until we're done getting all we need out.
Mm-hmm.
And another one is to trust our decisions. And I know sometimes parents think that we may not know what we're doing, but little do you know, we actually do know what we're doing sometimes.
Okay.
Says
we-
the 19-year-old,
and we-
y'all.
And I'll say most of us try to choose our situations,
Yeah.
our own situations, so they don't get out of hand.
Okay.
I'd say like just communicate openly and honestly. Like sometimes y'all feel that us being younger, we don't have to, like know what you know. Not saying like we have to, know everything, but at least like, you don't have to look at us as, oh, this is baby Sydney, baby Malcolm, baby Miles, Like now that we're a little bit older, we can know more, communicate more on that friendship level that we were talking about, I guess, not, from a kid's point of view. And just like, respect our independence, like we're trying to navigate and learn things on our own. So if I do want to do it on my own, I would like that respect instead of, like forcing on me what you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
Very well said.
Support our dreams and goals.
Okay. Support your dreams and
Okay.
goals. Okay.
Yeah. Even if we haven't got there yet,
Yeah.
just be patient with us. And,
Okay.
trust the process, I guess.
Trust the process. Yeah.
Yeah, trust the
Chris,
process.
Chris asked us the question. I don't remember what it said.
Okay, we have a quick question to the kids. What will you try to install in your kids that your parents did with you? And what stuff you wouldn't?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, everything they installed in us, I
It would be
instilled
instilled.
in us. My bad. I mostly agree with. I wouldn't do too many things different, but coming from my perspective right now, my point of view, of course, I'm kind of still in my childish way, so I would lower down, like go higher up on that curfew with my kids. I would, I would let them. Now spending the night is different because it's getting crazier. So I definitely would. Be like them on the spend the night thing, but
We didn't let them spend the night.
yeah,
our kids spend
I
the
didn't
night.
spend the night anywhere. So but I mean, really, besides that, I can't speak on what I would do now because I don't have kids. And then my brain isn't all the way developed because right now I'd be like, I'm gonna let my kid do what I want to do.
No,
So
thank
until
you.
Until you have
then,
children.
until I have kids, we'll come back to that question because it's gonna be a while.
Yes.
I'm glad you're admitting to all this.
Yes. What about you?
The same, really, the same thing as my sister said here. But I would be a little, even though they're not strict, I would be a little more laxed, and I would try to form that friendship with them earlier, but also keep the respect level.
Okay.
So they know not to just talk to me
Okay.
like a friend, actually.
Okay. So
Okay.
that's all your tips?
And that's all.
Okay, so
Okay.
we have some tips
All right.
tips for the young adults.
Go ahead,
too.
Mom.
Okay, so stay connected.
Mm-hmm.
When we send you a text or give you a call, just say, hey, answer it. Because you all keep your cell phones attached to the hip. And so all we want to know as parents is that you're okay, you've made it to where you are, and we just need to know that helps us to feel good about it. So a simple text or call just goes a long way for us as parents. And then communicate openly.
You going through all of them, babe.
State your thoughts. Tell us about your plans, concerns. Just help us to understand what your perspectives are so that we can better understand where you are. Because if we don't know how to support you.
Yeah.
And then seek guidance when needed. And we're your parents. We're here. God has blessed us with wisdom. Your dad has almost 53 years of wisdom. I have almost 51. I said almost. Almost.
Not even almost.
And so, we have, seek our guidance and trust that, we're going to give you the best information that we can. And then take responsibility. You want to be an adult one day, and then 1 minute you was like, oh, well, Mom, when you become adult, responsibilities come with that, like finances. Right. Decision making. And so you want to be able to, to go with the flow with that, take more responsibility in finance, show appreciation. as parents, we just want to know that we are appreciated and that we are loved for the things that we do, right?
And then the last one, be patient with us. I'm trying to move my
be
boo
patient.
along.
Be patient with
you
us
got
because
2
we don't
minutes.
always get it right. We don't always get it right, and we're
Yes.
still learning and growing as
Yes.
well as you all. So those are some tips from parents to young adults, and our young adults have given tips to the parents. And so, guys, we hope that you have gained something from this hour that we've shared
Yes.
with you all.
Yes.
And we thank you for your comments, your questions. Anything
Before
else,
we
baby?
go,
Yes, boss. Yes.
Oh, you said what?
before we go, you think that us as a whole, we're doing good? Like
Yes.
we're meeting those
Oh,
expectations.
you guys are
at
putting us
least?
on the
they
spot. You
putting
know
us on the
how
spot,
how would we?
yeah.
So you're saying how would we grade you guys?
Yeah,
I give
one-
you
one through
this.
10,
I
one
give you
through
that.
10.
you
Okay.
this. No,
Yes.
I honestly, I really think that if your child is breathing, and I don't mean it like that, but if you have your child and you have access to your child, that is an A+, right? And what I mean by that is that access to your child and to be able to talk with your child, that's an A+.
Right.
If you don't have it at all, it's still a possibility to make it into an A+. And then prayer, guys. So we appreciate where our children are. Do we wish and want better? Always, always, because my wish and want is for all of us to make it into heaven, because I want to live in eternity with my children, my family, and I even want to see you guys as well. But yeah,
I didn't
kids.
answer. I want to answer. I feel that my kids, I try to tell them that I am proud of them where they are right now, because our kids come home every day safely. God bless them, wake up every day. We always, as parents, have great expectations for our kids, but I always say that I'm proud of my kids. I love them for who they are and where they are right now. And my expectations at the end of the day is that they love God and want to serve Christ. So I am
Awesome.
proud of each of you.
Awesome. Well,
That answer
guys.
works.
Well, guys, we just want to share the love with you guys and let you know we appreciate you joining
Yes,
us
thank you.
in this episode of Committed and Covered. And we're prayerful that you guys have experienced something new. And not only that, a deeper want for our young adults,
Yes.
that want to be a friend to your parent, an eventual caregiver. And then
Right.
for the parent, establish that solid relationship. But most of all, guys, God is number one, right?
That's right.
And God, through prayer, can do anything. Nothing is impossible with God.
Yes.
So remember that. Love on your children while they're in front of you.
Yes,
Love on
yes,
each other
yes.
while we're around. Give us our flowers while we yet live.
And sometimes try not to sweat the small stuff.
Yeah, let it go.
I'm
Let it
trying
go.
to learn that now. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And guys, we thank you for your questions and your comments that you placed in the chat. And we're just excited. So this Committed and Covered every third Sabbath of the month, or every third Saturday of the
Right.
month, is Committed and Covered. Now, we weren't here last month. We had a lot going on. But you'll see us next month on Committed and Covered. So with that, guys, let's all wave. We
Bye.
love you guys.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. Bye. See you next time.
Miss-